looking forward to 1996, but not in the way compared to last year. The expectation is not to go for the championship right now. Sure, if we have a possibility, we will use it, but I think it's rather a dream than realistic at this moment, and I try to be realistic. So I don't expect too much by this stage. Let's see where we are. I don't think we at pace in this moment, in particular reliability, should give us some trouble because we were very late with the car. We couldn't do all the tests that we wanted, but we will try and make the best out of the situation.
Yeah, it's very relaxed and, you know, got over my jet lag and everything, and I've heard it's nice and sunny weather down here now, so good.
It's for us a new challenge, a new road, a new page, very important, determinant for the future of Ferrari, of the team, of the Formula One team. Of course, we will give them all the support they need. We always said that it's not having Michael in the team next year, that we just think now it's no more problem because he is the best driver, so he will win. We know we need to give to both our drivers a very good car. We are far to have the best car, but you can be sure that all the efforts will be done in order to make a progression and to bring us to the highest limits of motorsport.
The launch of the new John Barnard-designed Ferrari, powered by an all-new V10 engine, is late, losing the team valuable testing time. Schumacher, unsurprisingly, is first behind the wheel, but new teammate Eddie Irvine is optimistic, despite his own lack of mileage.
I feel it's going to be a lot closer than people think it's going to be, and by the end of the year, it should be very, very strong.
Mika Salo and Ukyo Katayama stay on at Tyrrell for 96 and like their new contender, even if Ukyo finds Salo's seat a little on the large side.
Engine is super good. There's lots of power, and of course we need more, but driver is never happy for the power. Car handles very well. It's very easy to drive. I'm very comfortable in the car. It just handles nice. It has lots more grip on high speed and low speed, what we had last year.
It's better than the other one car.
Oh, I can't even talk about them in the same day.
It's a new dawn at Benetton. The champion is gone and fortunes now lie with Alesi and Berger. To mark the occasion, Benetton put on what is probably the most spectacular launch presentation in Formula One history, with guests including FIA President Max Mosley and French film star Gerard Depardieu, joining huge crowds in the streets of Taormina in Sicily. Then it's a horse-drawn cart to the 2,000-year-old Teatro Antico, with Mount Etna providing the backdrop. 15,000 people pack into the theatre to witness the launch of the new B196. A move to the reigning champion team gives Berger and Alesi their best chance yet for a shot at the title.
5 years with Ferrari was fantastic for me because it's a very good experience. But now I join the team who is a world champion, and that is very exciting for me because I know I will do and I will be able to do very good results.
I think I could use the experience from last year to make myself a stronger competitor for 96.
Many fans will certainly be hoping so after 2 seasons where Damon has been in with a very realistic chance of taking the title, only to see his hopes fade. Pit stop strategy is top of the list of improvements required if Damon is going to capitalise on his title favourite status for 96, but the champion-elect is cautious.
You don't think Michael Schumacher can win the championship?
They don't think so on the street in Germany.
Well, I think maybe they should expect the championship this year to be very close. I think between Ferraris and Benettons, Williams, and we still haven't seen what McLaren have to offer.
Don't you think it's time for you now?
Well, you know, if it was just a matter of being shared around, then maybe it's my turn, but it's not like that. You have to win the championship.
Also in Germany on the street, the people have a lot of sympathy now for you because they have seen 2 years now that you're a very good sportsman.
Okay, well, hello to the people on the street in Germany.
The team chooses a worldwide satellite broadcast from the Estoril pits to launch the new Williams-Renault FW18 and welcome Hill's new teammate, reigning IndyCar champion Jacques Villeneuve. Well aware of the last driver to cross the Atlantic's problems, Michael Andretti, Williams have made sure that the young French-Canadian has had plenty of testing miles to give him the best possible chance. He's confident.
We've done a lot of miles to get ready, so I'm ready. But there's still a few things I have to learn in the race side of it. And then personally, I have confidence in myself. That's the only reason I'm racing. So in my head, I believe that I can win. But but that's not the same thing once you get on the racetrack, because everybody believes he can win. So you just have to go out there and fight as much as you can. And one thing I know is that we're going to be fighting with the quickest guys. Winning is that you can't know, but fighting, that I know.
There are a number of detailed regulation changes to the cars for 1996 aimed at improving safety and reducing speeds. First off are the low aerodynamic deflectors in front of the rear wheels. These are now banned. Cockpits are now both wider and longer, with raised sides to increase drivers' head protection. Inside, there's now a wraparound head restraint designed to prevent side impact head injuries. Front wing end plates come under scrutiny in an attempt to avoid punctures caused by contact with sharp edges. Now they must be wider, with blunter profiles. Similarly, 95 McLaren-style pointed noses are out, in favour of a more blunted, rounded form. There's a new starting procedure too. Once all cars are in position and stationary, 5 red lights come on at 1 second intervals. They automatically cancel anywhere between 1 and 9 seconds later to signify the start of the race. A full red illumination signifies an aborted or delayed start, as well as to stop the race.
The new Sauber may be shrouded in secrecy, but Johnny Herbert's switch from Benetton is not.
I think Benetton always made it a bit more difficult. For me, not Michael himself. They always worked very hard with Michael. I mean, I was just there to drive the second car, but here they seem to want to try and get both drivers to do a similar sort of job. And I think for Sauber as a team, of trying to get into the big teams, they have to then, work very hard with everybody. Everybody has to work, and it has to be a package to actually make that next jump. So hopefully that will happen this year.
Johnny joins Heinz-Harald Frentzen at the wheel of the all-new Sauber Ford C15. And it'll be interesting to see who outperforms who. Heinz-Harald, remember, is touted as being quicker than Herbert's 95 partner, Schumacher. Coulthard joins Hakkinen at McLaren, the new MP411 powered by Mercedes as before. Alain Prost is called upon for the initial shakedown runs, Ron Dennis preferring experience to youth and aggression in the early stages.
Well, I haven't been out with the new car yet. I'm still waiting to Alain to finish his program with the car, and I will go out later on today. But the excitement is very high.
Alain Prost still knows how to push though, and sets the benchmark for the still not fully fit but happily fully recovered Finn following that horrendous qualifying accident in Australia at the end of last year. When he does finally get his turn, he sends ripples throughout Formula One. Mika's back and blindingly quick straight away. David Coulthard is impressed with his new mount at Estoril too.
At the moment, in comparison to the old car, it's a step forward in every department. So that's the good thing. And now I just need to work on the balance. Yeah, it's nice to drive again.
If we remember '94, we've made a lot of points at the beginning of the season because the others were still in a problem. So the car was very early. So I think we have a chance of doing a lot of points and maybe the podium soon. Quite soon.
Jordan are indeed the first to launch an all-new 96 spec car and have very high expectations for the season ahead. Joining Rubens is Martin Brundle. He and team owner Eddie Jordan go back a long way.
And because I was at the beginning of my Formula career, really. So it's a nice story and a nice surprise to rejoin him after so long, to think that I'm still a Grand Prix driver and he has his own Grand Prix team is a very nice feeling.
Sure, we need to win a race now. We've done everything else. In the junior formulas, both Peugeot and Jordan have won everything. We've now been second, third, we've had pole position, we've had fastest lap. Next thing is to win a race. We must win.
Olivier Panis is unchanged at Ligier, save for the move from bachelor status to married man. The new JS43 is powered, as in '95, by the formidable Mugen Hondas, enjoys technical support from Benetton and TWR, and despite the loss of a number of key technical staff over the winter, cannot be underestimated. Panis is joined by former 40 driver Pedro Diniz, the unrated Brazilian bringing additional funds. After 11 years in Adelaide, the Australian Grand Prix moves to the colourful city of Melbourne in 1996 and at the same time becomes the first rather than the last round of the championship. 40 drivers Luca Badoer and Andrea Montermini are likely to struggle this year as another regulation change sees the introduction of the 107% qualifying rule. Any driver not within 107% of the pole position time will not qualify. Minardi is another team which may struggle in 1996 with Portuguese driver Pedro Lamy and Japanese Taki Inui at the wheel. Japanese yen are the reason for the latter's inclusion, but when they fail to materialise, Inui's drive disappears in favour of the up-and-coming Italian Giancarlo Fisichella. It isn't a permanent position, however, the team needing to find drivers with funds for its survival. Footwork have an exciting young lineup for 1996, with FIA Formula 3000 Championship runner-up Ricardo Rossit embarking on his debut Formula One season.
All the superstars are here and it's good to be together with them.
Jackie Oliver has also plumped for widely rated Dutch talent Jos Verstappen, the former partner of Michael Schumacher at Benetton, back after only 5 races last year. Villeneuve is the first to draw blood in the new one-session qualifying on Saturday afternoon. Only Carlos Reutemann in 72 and Mario Andretti in 78 have started their debut Grand Prix from pole.
I'd love to have had pole position, obviously, but I mean, Jack's done a terrific job and it was exciting. And I think the new format it is actually very exciting. You know, it's got to happen in that 1 hour. And I thought I had it there for a bit, and I got it taken away just at the end.
Despite Schumacher's pre-season reservations, Ferrari are right up there too.
At the start, Villeneuve makes a near-perfect getaway to jump straight into the lead. But Hill does less well, and he's swamped at the first corner by the Ferraris of Schumacher and Irvine. Further round, Coulthard brakes to avoid Panis and veers towards Herbert. Brundle has nowhere to go. Incredibly, Brundle clambers out unhurt. The replay shows that Martin is more than just lucky. The race is immediately stopped. At the restart, Villeneuve again converts his pole position. This time Hill makes a better job from second spot, with Irvine third and Schumacher fourth. With Brundle having started from the pit lane in the spare car, things don't get a lot better for the Jordan driver. This time, he collides with Diniz, spins and stalls at the same spot as his earlier accident. Lap 1, Villeneuve leads by a second from Hill, Irvine, Schumacher, Alesi and Hakkinen. Lap 2, Schumacher slips inside Irvine for third. Lap 9, Alesi attempts a move on Irvine and spins as the two cars collide. The Frenchman will limp back to the pits and retirement. Lap 20 and Schumacher makes his first stop. It takes 12.9 seconds and drops him to 4th place. 2 laps later, Irvine promotes his new teammate back up to 3rd as he makes his first stop. 11.7 seconds, he resumes 5th behind Hakkinen. Lap 24, Berger drops from 6th to 7th with his first stop, but regains the place when Barrichello comes in on the next lap. Coulthard, suffering a stuck throttle, indulges in a little autocross on his way to retirement. Lap 30, Villeneuve makes his one and only stop. 17.6 seconds. He's now second and 38 seconds behind teammate Hill. Lap 32. It's Hill's turn. .5 seconds. The Englishman retains his lead, but it's brief. The Canadian newcomer is in no mood to show respect for his team leader. meanwhile, has a braking problem, which will lead to his retirement a lap later. At the front, race leader Villeneuve is under tremendous pressure from Hill, and he has an over-exuberant moment. It's the likely cause of a pit signal that slows him down with fading oil pressure. He's forced to give best to an oil-covered Damon Hill and loses the chance to score his maiden Formula One victory at his first attempt. So, Hill starts 96 where he finished 95 with a win in Australia. Villeneuve is an impressive second and Irvine an equally impressive third on his debut with Ferrari. Berger, Häkkinen and Mika Salo round out the top 6.
Well, for sure it's disappointing to lead most of the race and then having to slow down, but the whole race itself was fun. It was a great battle with Damon, and for sure today was a good demonstration of the Williams Rothmans Renault, and it's a very strong package.
Rio provides the perfect stopover for some sightseeing, relaxation and light exercise prior to the short flight down to the city of Sao Paulo, host of the Brazilian Grand Prix, round 2 of the championship. Damon Hill doesn't just dominate qualifying, he obliterates the entire field with a time nearly a full second faster than second placed and impressive in his own right Rubens Barrichello here at his home circuit. Race day, however, is wet, very wet.
At the start, Hill is slow off the line as he dives across the track to fend off Barrichello. Villeneuve takes advantage, but Hill manages to rebuff all challenges to lead into turn 1, leaving Villeneuve and Barrichello to scrap over second place. By the end of the lap, Hill's lead is 2.7 seconds, with Villeneuve second, Alesi third, Barrichello fourth, Schumacher fifth and Brundle sixth. Pedro Lami's Minardi nudges Katayama's Tyrrell into a spin. Lap 7, Barrichello makes his move on Alesi and briefly takes third. Lap 8, Barrichello tries again. Lap 11, he's at it again, climbing all over the Benetton, but somehow the Frenchman resists, as Schumacher gets even closer in the Ferrari. Lap 14, Hill enjoys a lead of nearly 15 seconds over teammate Villeneuve. And the French-Canadian is coming under pressure from Alesi, who's won his battle with Barrichello. In the slippery conditions, Jos Verstappen is flying in the footwork, setting fastest lap in the race so far. While Barrichello has Schumacher and Frentzen on his heels, each tripping over the other. Lap 19, Coulthard slides onto the grass, dropping 8 places to 14th. And Verstappen's scintillating performance comes to a premature end with engine trouble. Lap 24, Schumacher comes in, still opting for wet tyres. And then Berger retires with hydraulic failure. Lap 27, in his attempt to stave off Alesi, Villeneuve runs out of luck at the end of the long back straight. Then Alesi runs wide on lap 32, losing second to Barrichello. The local hero then drops from second to fourth on lap 34 as he makes his first stop. Damon Hill's Williams, Alesi's Benetton and Salo's Tyrrell are ahead. With the track drying and the need for refuelling imminent, Williams takes the decision to go on to slicks for Hill's single stop. The Williams rejoins, now in second place, behind Jean Alesi in the Benetton. Schumacher, now fifth, makes a second stop, and he too opts for slick tyres. He rejoins ninth. Alesi then hands back the lead to Hill as he stops for fuel and slicks. The Benetton rejoins second, 25 seconds behind the Williams. 1 lap later, Barrichello is back in the pits for slicks, dropping down to 4th behind Schumacher. Salo and Hakkinen have stopped too, while Hill leads at the front. Lap 60, Barrichello outbrakes Schumacher at turn 1 and takes 3rd, only to be immediately repassed by the champion. Moments later, it's all over for the local favourite at the end of the back straight. Lap 62. Hill leads, having now lapped Schumacher's Ferrari. The German perhaps wonders why he left Benetton at the end of last season, particularly when that car is now second in the hands of Alesi. Hill duly takes his 15th Grand Prix victory from Alesi, the only other car on the same lap. It's Argentina next, so what price a hat-trick for Damon?
I'm looking forward to Argentina. I think it's going to be fun.
Just 1 week after the soaking in Brazil, the city of Buenos Aires plays host to the Formula One circus on a sunny Easter weekend. Despite suffering a bout of food poisoning, Damon Hill tops the times once more, though not so emphatically as in Brazil. Schumacher lines up alongside with Villeneuve and Alesi behind.
Hill makes a clean getaway from pole position and leads Schumacher, Alesi and Berger. Villeneuve makes a poor start and drops to 9th. At the end of lap 1, Hill leads by just over half a second. Coulthard is 3 seconds behind Berger's 4th place Benetton. Villeneuve is fast recovering. First he passes Barrichello and then Coulthard for 5th. Behind Barrichello, Verstappen is 8th, until a slight off onto the grass drops him back to 12th. Lap 19, Hakkinen retires his McLaren Mercedes with a throttle problem. Schumacher is running a 3-stop strategy and makes his first stop on lap 21. He's in the pits for 7.1 seconds, dropping back to 4th place, behind Berger, Alesi and Damon Hill at the front of the field. On lap 22, Jean Alesi makes his first stop. .8 seconds isn't enough to get him out in front of Schumacher, and the Benetton slips back to 4th. Lap 24, Hill comes in, as does Berger's 2nd place Benetton. .6 seconds and Hill is back on his way, ahead of Schumacher, who's now moved up to 2nd, with Alesi climbing all over the tail of the Ferrari. Further down the field, Luca Badoer's 40 is pitched into a spectacular roll after colliding with the Ligier of Pedro Diniz. The Italian crawls out unhurt, but it's enough to bring out the safety car, and the field forms up behind it. After Diniz's pit stop, the Ligier's fuel is pouring from a stuck valve with dire results. The Brazilian escapes with nothing more than a minor burn to the hand. The safety car is now on extended duty, with the field headed by Hill's Williams, Schumacher's Ferrari and Alesi's Benetton. On lap 32, the safety car comes in and Hill leaps into an immediate 1 second lead ahead of Schumacher, Alesi, Berger, Villeneuve and Coulthard. Lap 40, Schumacher makes his 2nd stop in a time of 12.4 seconds and resumes 8th. Lap 44, Alesi pits, 8.2 seconds, but he stalls the engine. This drops him to 8th. And he's going to be stuck behind Schumacher once more. Two laps later, Alesi passes Schumacher's slowing Ferrari. The German's lost part of his rear wing on debris left by a clash between Marquez and Brundle, and he retires soon after. Lap 49, Villeneuve makes his second stop, having worked up from that appalling start to be lying second. Just under 8 seconds, but he loses a place to Berger's Benetton. Hill, having made his final stop on lap 51, resumes with his lead still intact. On lap 56, Berger heads for the pits for a third time, unscheduled and with a suspected deflating rear tyre. The Austrian rejoins briefly, but a rear torsion bar is broken, and soon he's walking home. This promotes Villeneuve back into second place, and a charging Jean Alesi into third. But the gap is too big for the Frenchman to make a serious challenge. At 72 laps, it's a seemingly easy win for Damon Hill. Villeneuve is second, Alesi third, Barrichello's Jordan comes home fourth, with Irvine fifth and Jos Verstappen sixth. It's 3 out of 3 for Damon Hill, the perfect start to 1996.
To him, and he receives the trophy from Zunit Menem, the daughter of President Carlos Menem, the president of Argentina.
Surely Damon must feel optimistic about his title prospects now.
Well, I've got a good chance, but I really think you have to consider that, you know, the points can disappear very quickly. You only need one DNF and suddenly 10 points disappears, and there's still a lot of races left. But I'm off to a good start. I have to keep the pressure on and keep doing these results.
Round 4 brings the teams back to Europe, with the European Grand Prix once again being held in the Eifel Mountains at the infamous Nürburgring circuit. Schumacher territory. Despite Villeneuve's best efforts, Damon Hill takes his third pole position from the first 4 races with another dominant display, some 0.8 of a second ahead of his teammate. Schumacher is third, over a second behind his old adversary, with Alesi, Barrichello and Coulthard rounding out the top 6.
At the start, Hill bogs down and gets swamped from both sides. Villeneuve leads and Coulthard nips into second after a blistering getaway. Alesi and Berger are left floundering with brake problems. Katayama stalled on the warm-up lap. He got an illegal push start and he's disqualified. At the end of lap 1, Villeneuve leads from Coulthard, Barrichello, Schumacher, Hill, Hakkinen and Brundle. Further back, a fired-up, hard-charging Alesi collides with Sarlo's Tyrrell at the end of the start-finish straight. By lap 5, Villeneuve's lead is up to 3.8 seconds. Coulthard is a few lengths clear of Barrichello, and Hill takes Schumacher for 4th. Lap 6, Panis collides with Irvine in the battle for 11th. Both retire. Lap 10, and Hill's charge slows. The Williams has a rear-end imbalance. 12 laps later, his first stop comes 3 laps ahead of schedule. A 21-second stop allows Patrick Head the chance to check the rear end of the Williams before giving the all-clear. Hill resumes down in 11th place. Lap 23, Schumacher makes his first stop. It's 7.7 seconds and drops into 5th. Lap 24, Barrichello and Coulthard stop. McLaren are quicker. 9.8 seconds drops Coulthard from 2nd to 4th, while Barrichello resumes 5th. Hakkinen breaks the pit lane speed limit on his first stop and is subsequently called in for a mandatory 10-second stop-go penalty. Lap 29. Hill, running 9th, makes a dive down the inside of Diniz, but the Brazilian turns in on the Williams and the two are lucky to keep going. It's enough to drop Hill back down to 10th, behind Verstappen. Lap 36. Schumacher is just 1 second behind Villeneuve, with Coulthard 3rd, Barrichello 4th, Frentzen 5th, Hakkinen 6th, Brundle 7th, and Hill now up to 8th. 7 laps later, the second refuelling stops as first Hill, then Schumacher, and on lap 46, Villeneuve come in. .3 seconds. Villeneuve maintains his lead, just. It's all getting very tense in the pit lane, with traffic helping to close the gap between Villeneuve leading and Schumacher second. Will it go the same way as last year, with Schumacher snatching the win almost in sight of the flag? It's just as tight behind, with Coulthard third and Hill fourth. Lap 57, dicing with Salo's Tyrrell, Frentzen spins under braking for the first corner, and both drop down the order 2 places. With 8 laps remaining, Villeneuve is still leading. Schumacher is pushing for a win from second place. Further back, Coulthard still hangs on to third, Hill is fourth. Lap 62, 6 to go. 5 to go. Lap 64, 4 to go, 3 to go. Lap 66, Coulthard and Hill, 1 to go. Villeneuve hangs on and wins by 7/10 of a second. Half a minute further back, it's Coulthard who hangs on to third from Hill and the 2 Jordans of Barrichello and Brundle.
The Federal Minister of Traffic.
You know, this is one race. It feels great, but you know, as of tomorrow, it will be far away because we'll have to think about the next race. But for sure, it's a great feeling. After the start of the season we had, it's great to get one in.
Jordan Grand Prix are in the ascendancy, with Eddie Jordan unable to hide his relief at having landed a major new sponsor in Benson and Hedges. In Melbourne, Eddie Irvine makes it 3 times that Schumacher has ever been out-qualified by a teammate. The others were Piquet, again in Australia in '91, and Herbert at Spa in 1995. 40 team drivers Luca Badoa and Andrea Montermini become first to suffer under the new 107% rule, as both, not unexpectedly, struggle, then fail to qualify in Melbourne. Damon Hill equals Father Graham's tally of 14 wins in Australia. With his first victory of '96, he secures another unique record too.
And do you know who the last person was to have won 2 Grand Prix in the same country consecutively? I'm a bit of a train spotter, really, aren't I?
Brazilian Tasso Marquez replaces Fisichella at Minardi for both Brazil and Argentina, but the Italian is back at Nürburgring. Tom Walkinshaw swaps colours between Australia and Brazil, waving goodbye to Ligier in a surprise move. He takes control at Jackie Oliver's footwork team. The early season races saw an unprecedented number of spins, be it wet or dry, front runners or tail enders. The 1996 regulations certainly seem to have reduced the levels of grip available. And particularly in qualifying and free practice sessions, fans have been treated to some extraordinary antics. Damon Hill heads the standings after his opening hat-trick of wins and a 4th place at the Nürburgring. With Villeneuve second, the Williams duo are a long way ahead of the rest of the field. And it's a similar story in the Constructors' Championship, with Williams racing away at the top of the table. Imola and Ferrari are synonymous. Add reigning world champion Michael Schumacher to the equation, and the Tifosi expect. Schumacher delivers his first pole position of 1996 and the crowd go wild. With Hill alongside on the front row, the race might prove a little more tricky.
It's fourth-placed Coulthard who gets the jump on the rest of the field at the start. Into the Tamburello chicane, the Scot leads ahead of Hill and Schumacher. Alesi tries to muscle past Villeneuve, and the Canadian's left rear tyre is punctured in the incident. The Williams limps back to the pits for a replacement. At the end of lap 1, Coulthard leads from Hill and Schumacher. Salo is up to 4th, Berger 5th, and Barrichello 6th as the leading trio pull away. Under braking for Tamburello, Schumacher slips past the second-place Williams of Hill. Lap 2, having displaced Salo's Tyrrell, Berger closes on Hill. Lap 3, a gap is opening between the leading duo of Coulthard and Schumacher and the third-placed Williams. Lap 10, Rob Dennis looks content with the order unchanged. Coulthard ahead of Schumacher, Hill 3rd, Berger 4th, Salo and Barrichello 5th and 6th. On lap 18, it's Alesi who comes in first for a long stop of 19.4 seconds. Unhappy with the car's balance, the team also changed the steering wheel. It costs the Benetton 7 places, and then a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. On lap 20, Coulthard makes his first refuelling stop from the lead. He's there for 8.2 seconds and resumes in 6th place. Lap 21, Schumacher is in. .5 seconds, he rejoins ahead of Coulthard's McLaren. But behind Damon Hill, the new leader, Berger's Benetton, and Mika Salo's Tyrrell, which subsequently retires in a cloud of smoke after a Yamaha engine failure. Lap 25, Berger makes his first planned stop. It's 7.4 seconds. He rejoins 4th behind Coulthard. Not until lap 30 does Hill come in for his first stop. He's there for 7.6 seconds and rejoins in the lead by less than a second from Schumacher. The leading duo is now well ahead of Coulthard 3rd, Berger 4th, Barrichello 5th and Irvine 6th. Schumacher is the first of the leading runners to make a second stop on lap 40. He's stationary for 11.7 seconds before resuming in 2nd place. 1 lap later, Coulthard makes his second stop. And he stalls it, for reasons which are later explained as hydraulic pressure loss. And he retires on lap 44 when the problem becomes terminal. Following his earlier incident with Villeneuve on lap 1, Alesi is at it again, this time with Panis, and this time being the one to come off worse. Lap 50, Hill makes his second and final stop. Lap 57, and Villeneuve, having carved his way back from last place, is robbed of the final championship point with suspension failure. Ironically, it's Jean Alesi who benefits as he's promoted from 7th. So Damon Hill takes a comfortable 4th win of the year, having played the better tactical battle. While some 16 seconds further back, Schumacher only just makes it to 2nd place. A front brake disc has exploded, locking the right front wheel solid. So Berger takes the final podium position, Irvine in the second Ferrari is 4th, Barrichello 5th and Alesi 6th. The Tifosi run wild.
Very pleased about winning here because I had a hiccup in Germany, but I'm now back on winning form again. And the tactics in the race were perfect, and I had a very good strategy, and thanks to the Williams team for working that well, and the pit stops were brilliant too.
While Footwork's Rosset and Verstappen set about modifying their cars as much as they could against Monaco's unforgiving barriers, Schumacher, no doubt buoyed up by his performance at Imola, again puts the #1 Ferrari on pole position, with Hill second and an all-Benetton row 2. Villeneuve, meanwhile, found himself languishing down in 10th place.
On a damp track, from second on the grid, it's Hill who comfortably outdrags Schumacher in the run-up to Saint-Devote. Further back, as the rest of the field scrabbles through for the long climb up to Casino Square, Verstappen, who's opted to start the race on slicks, slides straight into the barrier. With Hill in the lead, it's Schumacher's turn next. The German presses too hard too soon, sliding straight into the wall at the next right after lows. A rare error for the world champion. By the end of lap 1, we would also lose the 2 Minardis of Lamy and Fisichella and the Jordan of Barrichello, bringing the number of retirements to 5. And by lap 2, Hill has a 4.3-second lead, Alesi's Benetton is second, Berger third, Irvine fourth, Frentzen fifth, Coulthard sixth and Villeneuve seventh. Lap 5, the battle for fourth is hotting up, with Irvine's Ferrari heading a 9-car queue. Berger is out on lap 10 with gearbox problems. Frentzen's frustrations behind Irvine reach a head on lap 18 when he damages the front wing of the Sauber on the exit to Saint-Devote. He'll be in the pits next time round. By lap 28, Hill is in for slick tyres, relinquishing his lead to Alesi. Irvine then heads to the pits in the sole remaining Ferrari. He's now on to slicks too. Panis in the Ligier effectively follows Irvine in. And on lap 29, Coulthard's McLaren stops. The Scotsman has borrowed Schumacher's spare helmet for this race. He resumes behind the flying Panis, who is now up to 4th, having started 14th on the grid. Hill retakes the lead on lap 30, repassing Alesi on the run-up to Casino Square. Lap 36, Panis literally pushes Irvine's Ferrari out of the way at lows and moves up to 3rd. The Irishman restarts the stricken Ferrari on the downhill gradient and returns to the pits to check the car and refasten his belts. With the race almost in the bag, Hill's Renault engine suffers a rare failure on lap 41, a major blow-up in the tunnel. It's heartache for the Englishman, it's joy for Benetton. Alesi now has a substantial lead. Panis is promoted to 2nd, despite losing 10 seconds in a quickly recovered spin on Hill's oil. Lap 59, Alesi's in the pits. This isn't in the script. The team, unable to identify a handling problem, dispatched the Frenchman on a fresh set of tyres. But a lap later, it's all over. Sauber are suitably pleased. Alesi's demise has promoted Herbert to 3rd. It's a tense time for Anne Panis. Olivier is leading a Grand Prix, Ligier are in sight of their first win since 1981, and Coulthard is closing in the McLaren. Lap 66, Luca Badoer's slow 40 takes out Villeneuve. Hakkinen now goes 5th and Salo 6th. But in the final laps, Irvine's eventful race ends where Schumacher's had on lap 1. And Hakkinen and Salo join in. But it's joy for Ligier as Panis hangs on to score his maiden Grand Prix victory less than 5 seconds ahead of Coulthard. Herbert's steady drive rewards Sauber with 3rd. Frentzen is 4th, despite heading into the pits on the last lap. Salo and Hakkinen are credited with 5th and 6th.
This race is a very difficult race because the start of the race is raining. My car is very good in weight. After change just the tire because it's a completely full tank in the start. no fuel, but the finish the race is very difficult because the fuel, I don't know, is finish the race because the fuel is less, very difficult. The box speak with me, slowly, Olivier, but David push very hard, it's very difficult.
Hill puts an end to Schumacher's two-race run of pole positions in Barcelona, while Villeneuve is back on form after a lacklustre performance on his first visit to Monaco. The top 6 places are shared by just 3 teams, and as in Melbourne and at the Nürburgring, both 40s failed to qualify. On race day, however, sunshine is replaced by torrential rain.
Schumacher bogs down at the start as Villeneuve takes an immediate lead with Alesi tucked in behind and Hill slipping back to third. Coulthard's McLaren is an immediate casualty after a collision with Lamy. So are Fisichella and Rossette's footwork after a separate incident. Villeneuve leads by 1.1 seconds on lap 2 from Alesi, Hill, Berger, Irvine and Schumacher. Lap 3, Herbert has an excursion into the gravel but survives. A beached Irvine doesn't. Lap 4, Hill has a little excursion, dropping him from 3rd to 5th. Lap 8, Hill is in trouble again. This spin drops him further down the field to 8th. Schumacher, meanwhile, has closed on the tail of the Villeneuve-Alesi lead battle. Lap 11, Hill has yet another spin, this time into the pit wall. Schumacher dispenses with Alesi in clinical fashion before repeating the manoeuvre on Villeneuve to take the lead on lap 12. Further down the order, Verstappen manages a 360 on the straight. Then Diniz partakes in a little rallycross, and Salo recovers after this pirouette. Lap 24, Schumacher makes a 7.2 second stop and rejoins with a comfortable lead. Lap 32, Alesi makes his sole refuelling stop in 12 seconds and drops from 3rd to 4th. Lap 34, Berger's in trouble in the pits with a sticking left rear wheel. He eventually gets away with only 3 new tyres in 5th position. 2 laps later, a Villeneuve stop drops him down to 4th behind Schumacher, Barrichello's Jordan and the recovering Berger. At the end of lap 45, Barrichello, who was up to 2nd at one point, retires with clutch problems. Lap 48, Verstappen spins out of 5th place, promoting both Häkkinen and Pedro Diniz, who's on course for his first championship point. An incredibly smooth and dominant display by Schumacher in treacherous conditions, in complete contrast to the fortunes of Hill, a spectator after just 11 laps. So Schumacher wins his first race for Ferrari in considerable and flamboyant style. Alesi takes 2nd after a race-long battle with Villeneuve, who's 3rd, with Frentzen having quietly assumed 4th, Häkkinen 5th and Diniz 6th.
From the warm-up on, the car was already quite good. We made some final changes, which improved even further for the race. And after that, it got better and better. And as I said, I took some different lines, which was quite a difference after a couple of laps. And that was the reason.
Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. The late, great Gilles' son in with a realistic chance of winning his home Grand Prix on a circuit named in honour of his father. All the world's press are present for the story of the year. Jacques goes quickest, but Damon isn't about to hand anyone any favours.
With traffic so heavy in the last 30 minutes, would anybody ever take a risk and try going out in the first 30 minutes? There seemed to be 1 or 2 cars on the circuit for the first 20 minutes.
Racing drivers are a bit like journalists, they all stick together in case they miss something.
Schumacher is left stranded at the start of the warm-up lap with a fuel pressure problem. After what seems like an eternity, he gets underway, but now he'll have to start from the back of the grid. At the start, Hill assumes an immediate advantage over Villeneuve, Alesi, Irvine and Häkkinen. Lap 2, and Ferrari's woes are doubled as Irvine slows to a crawl with a broken front pushrod. Lap 5, Berger slips past Häkkinen into 4th. While out of sight, Hill leads from Villeneuve and Alesi. Next lap, Häkkinen slips back another place, this time to Brundle. At the end of lap 7, Katayama and Rosset collide heavily at the pit's chicane. Both are eliminated on the spot. Lap 20, Hill has an 8.9 second advantage over Villeneuve, with a lazy third from Berger, Brundle and Barrichello. Schumacher is a long way back in 12th place and struggling. Lap 25, Barrichello's Jordan is out with clutch trouble, just as Brundle comes in for his first stop. Lap 28, Hill resumes in second. His first refuelling stop has taken 9.5 seconds and Villeneuve now leads. Lap 36, the Canadian, running a different strategy, is in for his one and only stop. 11.5 seconds, he drops back to second behind Hill. Lap 41, with a lazy Häkkinen and Coulthard all having made their one and only stops, it's Schumacher's turn, now running up in 7th position. As he leaves the pits, the Ferrari sheds its left rear drive shaft, and the German is left to tour back into retirement. Gerhard Berger offers no excuses for spinning out of 4th place on lap 43. He blames himself for overdriving in his efforts to catch teammate Alesi. Lap 49, Hill leads Villeneuve by over half a minute, but this is the stop that everyone's been waiting for. 8.6 seconds. Hill maintains his lead, but the gap is down to just 13 seconds over the hard-charging French-Canadian, as Villeneuve sets a string of fastest laps to close the gap. But despite Villeneuve's best efforts and the support of his home crowd, Hill takes his 18th career win by just over 4 seconds. Last year's winner, Alesi, is third.
The strategies were pretty good both. It depended what happened on the start, and it depended as well what would happen with the back markers.
I said before the start of the race that the most important thing for me to do here was to finish and score points. But I also said the best way to score points was to score 10. And I've done that, so I'm very, very pleased.
The 40 team unveiled new colours in Spain. Gone is the yellow and in is Irish green, in deference to new sponsor Shannon. Following the track invasion after the San Marino Grand Prix, the FIA slap a $1 million fine on the organisers. Damon Hill has extended his lead in the drivers' standings as Parnis moves in at 6th, following his unexpected but no less deserved victory in Monaco. Jordan and Tyrrell slip out of the top 6 in the Constructors' Championship as Ligier and Sauber move in at 5th and 6th. Manicourt, home circuit to the Ligier team, and great expectations after Parnis won in Monaco. It's a circuit at which Damon Hill's Williams has often shined in qualifying, only to be left floundering in Schumacher's wake in the race. Incident-filled practice, Jacques Villeneuve is lucky to emerge unscathed after this massive off on the exit of the flat-out Estoril. This time around, it's Schumacher who takes the pole spot, and Hill who must settle for an incident-packed second. Alesi's Benetton is 3rd, and Villeneuve bounces back to 6th. Eddie Irvine is 10th, but finds himself relegated to the back of the grid when his car fails the post-qualifying scrutineering checks.
Just like Canada, Ferrari's and Schumacher's woes continue on the formation lap. This time a massive plume of smoke from the V10 ends the champions race before it even starts. There's disbelief at Ferrari. At the start, Hill, with a clear track in front, makes a clean getaway. By the end of the first lap, he leads from Alesi, Häkkinen, Villeneuve, Berger, Brundle, Coulthard, Barrichello and Parnis. By the end of lap 2, Irvine has carved his way from last to 16th, but a gearbox hydraulics failure ends his race on lap 5. It's a half day at Ferrari. Lap 11. Jos Verstappen plunges into the gravel trap at Estoril corner with front suspension failure. Lap 21. Alesi is the first of the leading runners to head for the pits. 7.3 seconds drops him from second to fifth. Lap 27. Race leader Hill makes his first stop and rejoins second. Häkkönen's in on the same lap. He rejoins fourth, with Villeneuve, the current race leader, not yet having stopped. He does so on lap 30. Hill is promoted into the lead again and Alesi to second. Villeneuve rejoins third, with Häkkönen in fourth, having lost bottom and second gears. Lap 36, halfway, Villeneuve outbrakes Alesi into the Adelaide hairpin to snatch back second place. Further back, both McLarens are struggling as first Häkkönen loses out to Berger, then Coulthard to Panis. Lap 49, Villeneuve's in again. 8.4 seconds, he hangs on to second place. Lap 54, Hill resumes after this second stop with a lead of some 11 seconds over Villeneuve. Alesi and Berger are third and fourth, nose to tail. And that's the way it stays to the flag. Hill recording his 19th career win, one less than Schumacher.
You go off on the parade lap and the guy's engine blows up in front of you. It's not what you expect.
Having been pipped to the post in qualifying and the race in Montreal, Jacques Villeneuve is out for revenge at Silverstone. But first, to qualifying. Advantage Hill. Häkkönen's fourth in the seemingly improving McLaren, Schumacher's third but nearly a second off pole and 7/10 behind Villeneuve.
At the start, Hill bogs down badly, again. Villeneuve capitalises and Alesi makes a flyer from the third row. It's Villeneuve from Alesi, Häkkönen, Schumacher and Hill is fifth. Lap 3, Schumacher's Ferrari is heading for a third successive early retirement with a major leak in the hydraulic system. Irvine compounds Ferrari woes on lap 5. Lap 9, Deniz's Ligier spins at Stowe. Katayama takes avoiding action and Mika Salo moves up the order 2 places. By lap 10, the race order is pretty static. Villeneuve is pulling away from Alesi, Hill is frustrated by Häkkönen in third place, Barrichello is fifth and Berger sixth. Lap 23, race leader Villeneuve in for his first of 2. The French-Canadian rejoins fourth, just behind Hill, who on lap 24 radios the Williams pit that his car feels unstable at the rear. 3 laps later, under braking for Copse, he's out. Lap 31. Alesi heads for his stop, allowing Villeneuve to resume the lead from Häkkönen, who's already stopped, and Berger third. Lap 33. Alesi and Berger swap places on the track as Berger makes his one stop. Lap 41, Villeneuve makes his second and final stop. He retains first place, but Alesi has reduced his lead from 35 to just over 9 seconds. 3 laps later, Häkkönen comes in for his final stop, but Alesi is in too, retiring with rear wheel bearing failure. Thus, Berger moves up to second, and Häkkönen rejoins third. And that's the way it stays at the front, as Villeneuve collects his second win of the season, exacting some revenge for the result in Montreal. Berger comes second, Häkkönen third, Barrichello, Coulthard and Brundle round up the top 6.
The first win, we had a few good results, but we're most of the time second behind Damon. So, you know, we really wanted to put one on him.
Boris Becker is on hand to lend moral support at Schumacher's second home Grand Prix of the season. Hill, however, is in the familiar pole spot. Giovanni Lavaggi, having his first outing of 1996 in the Minardi, finds himself enjoying a baptism of fire, so to speak, during practice. Blissfully unaware of the impending doom until the bitter end, he will do well to emulate the publicity he received after this. Hill is joined on the front row by the similarly powered Berger, enjoying his best qualifying performance of the season. Schumacher cannot manage better than third, despite the home advantage. Mika Häkkinen, John Alesi and Jacques Villeneuve fill the remainder of the first 3 rows.
And again, Hill fluffs the start, Berger takes the initiative, Schumacher blocks Häkkinen, Alesi makes another absolute flyer from 5th on the grid to take 2nd. After running into the back of Herbert Sauber, Verstappen is the first out at the first chicane. The lap 1 order is Berger, Alesi, Hill, Schumacher, Coulthard, Villeneuve, Häkkinen, Barrichello and Brundle. Lap 8, Berger, Alesi and Hill have opened up a considerable gap. Schumacher is 4th. The Ferrari leads an impatient queue of Coulthard, Villeneuve, Irvine and Häkkinen, the latter pair pushing each other hard. Lap 13, Häkkinen in for his first stop, suffers gear selection problems trying to get away. He eventually gets going only to pack up a few yards later when the gear change electronics fail. Lap 20, Hill's 8.1 second stop drops him down to 5th. Lap 22, Alesi makes his one and only stop in 10.3 seconds. Schumacher and Villeneuve are in too, nose to tail. They leave even closer. It's to no avail for Schumacher, however. Villeneuve quickly taking 5th place from the German. Lap 23, race leader Berger is in, handing the lead to Hill now with Alesi 2nd. The Williams posts a succession of fastest laps as Hill tries to create the gap necessary for his 2nd stop to come. And it comes on lap 34. It's 8.2 seconds. He rejoins in 2nd place behind Berger, but ahead of Alesi, Villeneuve and Schumacher. Lap 35, Irvine's 6th consecutive retirement, this one down to a gearbox oil leak. Lap 43, this is the battle for the lead. But exit Gerhard Berger with a major engine failure. Hill is in front. Attention now switches to the 4th and 5th battle of Schumacher and Coulthard. After 45 laps, Hill takes his 20th Grand Prix win, equaling the tally of Schumacher. Alesi is 2nd and Villeneuve 3rd, completing an all-Renault-powered podium. Schumacher does manage to hold off Coulthard by just 0.6 of a second. Rubens Barrichello's Jordan Peugeot completes the top 6.
I made it not a very good start, and from then on it was going to be quite difficult, but I had a good race with Jean and also later in the race with Gerhard. And of course I was looking for an opportunity to pass, but he was going to make it very difficult. But I heard his engine make a bad noise coming out of the first chicane, and I knew he had a problem. It was either him or me. I wasn't really sure, and so I was rather pleased to see it was his engine and not mine when he pulled out. So bad luck to Gerhard, but a terrific result for myself. I've never won in Germany before, and I'd forgotten about the fact that it was my 20th victory, so there's a lot to celebrate today.
Home from home for Schumacher once more. With no top drivers of their own, the Hungarians are joined by many German fans for whom this Grand Prix is only a short hop over the border in support of the current champion. Eddie Irvine takes an impressive 4th ahead of the 2 Benettons in the Saturday afternoon qualifying session. But the real battle is for pole. The leading 3 runners nearly 1.5 seconds clear of the number 2 Ferrari. Ultimately, it's Villeneuve who draws the short straw and Schumacher who takes the prized possession. but not without a fight from Hill. The first three are split by little over a tenth of a second.
Schumacher makes the best of it from pole as Hill makes a slow start. He drops to fourth, Villeneuve is second, and Alesi pushes his way up to third, the leading group clear of a congested midfield. Turn 2, Salo and Diniz collide, swiping Verstappen in the process. The Tyrrell and Ligier are out on the spot. At the end of lap 1, Schumacher leads. Villeneuve is second from Alesi, Hill, Irvine, Berger and Hakkinen. Lap 6, and 12th placed Brundle makes the spectacular exits across the gravel. Lap 9, Villeneuve has closed to within half a second of Schumacher, while Alesi and Hill are now some 10 seconds behind. Lap 19, Schumacher makes his first stop, dropping from first to fifth, and is stationary for 8 seconds. Lap 21, Villeneuve comes in. He rejoins third, behind Hill second and Alesi leading. Lap 22 and Alesi is in. He drops down to seventh. Hill takes over the lead from Villeneuve, Berger and Schumacher. Lap 24, exit Coulthard with an engine seizure as a result of a failed water pump drive. Lap 25, Hill comes in for a 7-second stop. He will rejoin third behind Villeneuve in the lead and Schumacher second. Lap 32, Irvine makes his now customary exit. Not for the first time, it's gearbox related. Lap 39, Schumacher makes his second stop in 6.9 seconds. Lap 40, it's Villeneuve's turn in an identical 6.9 seconds. He retains the lead when Hill follows in the very next lap, resuming his challenge from third. In the third round of stops, Villeneuve survives a problematic 15-second stop and gets out still leading, with Schumacher second and Hill third. Alesi is currently fifth, but moves up a place at the expense of Berger, who suffers a second engine failure in as many races. Lap 71, Schumacher's Ferrari runs into terminal throttle and electrical problems. By this time, Hill has the wick turned right up. He's demolishing Villeneuve's advantage, but he can't get past on this notoriously difficult circuit. Villeneuve takes the win, his third of the season and the first Williams 1-2 which he's headed. Alesi finishes third from Hakkinen.
Yeah, I'm very happy because, first of all, for the championship, we had to beat Damon while he was still on the racetrack. So it's a good feeling to do that. And this is not the type of track that I normally enjoy. So being competitive here, makes me really happy. The team did a great job all weekend, and we were right away from the pace.
Williams win the Constructors' Championship in Hungary. Now that it's mathematically impossible for them to be caught, the battle is now for runner-up. Villeneuve has narrowed Hill's championship lead slightly, whilst Hakkinen is making inroads into the lower order, moving up to fifth. Williams and Benetton will have to look for new engine suppliers as Renault announced their withdrawal from F1 at the end of 1997. 3 token laps at Silverstone, none at Hockenheim. 40 are out of Formula One. Giovanni Lavaggi replaces Giancarlo Fisichella in the Minardi until the end of the season.
It's the best way to start the season is to be in the front, and that's for sure. Williams Renault was a strong car, and it showed today. The 2 cars are quick.
With 3 wins under his belt already and a solid-looking second place in the championship, with a potential and mathematical chance to go one better, that first ever run in a Williams F1 car 12 months previously must seem a long time ago.
It's actually fun to drive, much more nimble than an Indy car, so that's nice. Yeah, they're actually easy to use. It always seemed like the limit can be further, but we checked on the graphs and we were braking as late, if not later, than Damon. So I think it's going well with the brakes.
No, not really. Mostly in the Beckett's, or what is it called? Just in the last one. There's a little bit steep drop, but that's about it. It feels good. No, neck is great. Yeah, it's actually easier on the neck than the IndyCar because the steering is lighter. Just okay. Yeah. Bye.
Il veut parler avec Adrian. Frank.
With just 4 races to go, the pressure is mounting on Damon Hill to seal his first championship win.
My aim, of course, is to close the championship rather than open it, and I'll be doing everything I can this weekend to secure a victory.
Villeneuve, however, will fight to the very end and carries the momentum of his win in Hungary into qualifying to take pole by over 0.4 of a second. Hill cannot respond, with rain intervening 20 minutes before the end of the session. Schumacher third is lucky to emerge very sore, but otherwise unscathed from this accident in free practice.
Villeneuve makes a clean start from pole, with Schumacher slotting into second ahead of Hill. Barrichello, Herbert and Frentzen get entangled at the notorious La Source hairpin. The two Saubers are eliminated on the spot, along with Panis' Ligier. On the run-up to Les Cons, Coulthard pressures and passes Hill for third. At the end of lap 1, the order is Villeneuve, Schumacher, Coulthard, Hill, Hakkinen, Berger, Alesi, Brundle and Irvine. Lap 11, Verstappen stops to investigate a sticking throttle. Nothing is found and he resumes, only to suffer a major incident on the exit of Stavelot a lap later. Lap 14, and with the safety car deployed, Schumacher heads for his first stop. Alesi makes his move too. As Schumacher rejoins, it's confusion at Williams. Villeneuve has missed his stop. Hill is coming in for his when he's radioed to stay out. Too late, and the Englishman loses precious time. Villeneuve does come in at the end of lap 15, followed by Berger's Benetton. Meanwhile, it's the two McLarens of Coulthard and Hakkinen leading the field behind the safety car. Hill finally gets to make his stop at the end of lap 16 and drops right back to 13th in the queue. The safety car comes in and Coulthard grabs an immediate advantage over Hakkinen from Schumacher and Villeneuve. Berger then spins, trying to pass Irvine, and drops back to 14th. It's the start of a superb comeback drive from the Austrian. When the McLarens make their stops, Schumacher is handed the lead, Villeneuve is second, and Hill is stuck in 9th behind Brundle. When he does get by, he closes on Sarlo's Tyrrell easily. The third consecutive gearbox failure for Irvine sees him retire from a lowly 13th. The battle of wits at the front, unsurprisingly, comes down in Schumacher's favour. He takes his 21st Grand Prix win, with Villeneuve second, Hakkinen in third place, and then a long way back, Alesi, Hill and Berger.
It's going to be difficult to find words for that. I mean, 1.2 seconds behind qualifying, and then in dry circumstance to do what we have done today, I wouldn't have bet again like in Spain, 1 penny on it.
With Villeneuve having closed to within 13 points in the race for the title, Monza provides Hill with the opportunity to clinch it or open it up. Another pole position is as good a place as any to start. Villeneuve, though, never seems that far away.
Alesi makes his usual flyer from the third row to lead Hill into the first chicane, with Villeneuve third, forced across the gravel. Into the second Lesmo, Hill muscles his way back in front, but Alesi hasn't finished, fighting back at the Variante Ascari. Villeneuve is displaced by Hakkinen at the Parabolica, so that across the line it's Hill, Alesi, Hakkinen, Villeneuve, Coulthard, Schumacher, Berger, Irvine, Herbert and Brundle. Lap 2, second chicane. Villeneuve clips the tyres and Coulthard is eliminated. The McLaren's steering is broken. Lap 4, it's Häkkönen's turn to be clobbered by errant tyres, this time courtesy of Alesi. He heads for the pits for a new nose, dropping to 17th. Lap 5, Berger out, gearbox. Lap 6, race leader Hill is out at the first chicane.
I can't blame anyone but myself for what happened, and now I'm going to have to sit very anxiously and watch the rest of the race, so if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go back and do that now.
Alesi therefore leads from Schumacher with a big gap to Villeneuve, Irvine and Brundle. Lap 8, Frenzen's out with broken front suspension, those tyre stacks. Lap 11, Villeneuve makes his first fuel tyre stop as Patrick Head checks for tyre stack damage, 8.8 seconds. Lap 24, Irvine's fine run in third comes to an end, another victim of the tyre stacks and broken front suspension. Lap 25, Villeneuve locks up and has to take an alternative route. Lap 31, Alesi relinquishes the lead to Schumacher, courtesy of a 9-second stop, but he retains second spot ahead of Häkkönen, now back up to a heroic third after his earlier problems. Schumacher presses hard before his stop comes on lap 33. It's 8.8 seconds. He resumes with his lead intact, some 15 lengths clear of Alesi. After a second stop, Häkkinen maintains his third place. Brundle's fourth, and the second Jordan of Barrichello is fifth. Lap 40. Schumacher displays a lapse in concentration, survives where others before were not so lucky, and heads for his third win with Ferrari.
Never have seen so many emotions, so many people enjoying themselves. It's fantastic. You can only see that in Italy. Just said before, I think we should allow everywhere the people to come in front of the podium to let them celebrate with us. But as they celebrate, it's only possible in Italy.
With neither Hill nor Villeneuve increasing their points tallies in Italy, it's still all to play for in Estoril. Somewhat fittingly, qualifying becomes a two-horse race between the championship contenders, and even Schumacher takes a back seat in one of the most closely fought sessions in years. Hill takes pole by the smallest of margins.
For a few minutes it was, I won't tell you the words I was saying in my helmet, but it was a tough moment, and when it's so close, it's frustrating.
It's Villeneuve's turn to make a poor getaway as Hill takes an immediate lead from Alesi and Schumacher. Local man Lani's Minardi is left on the grid and joins in after the rest of the field has got away. Lap 16, Villeneuve is climbing all over Schumacher's tail before passing the Ferrari the hard way, right round the outside of the long right-hander before the pit straight. That gives him third, and there's nothing Schumacher can do to respond. Hill heads for the pits. His 7.7 second stop drops into third. Next lap, Villeneuve is in, 7 seconds. He slips back to 7th. Schumacher is in 2. His stop, 7.2 seconds. He resumes 8th. Lap 22, with Hill amongst the back markers, Alesi takes the opportunity to come in. Lap 35, with Hill having stopped a lap earlier, Villeneuve is in, stationary for 7.2 seconds. He rejoins second, not far behind Hill. Schumacher and Alesi are running close, third and fourth. Very close. Until on lap 44 they make their second and third respective fuel stops. Ferrari's proving the more favourable as the German sneaks into third. Next lap, Coulthard Coulthard is in for his second stop and rejoins, only for teammate Häkkinen to ram him from behind midway around the next lap. The incident necessitates them both returning to the pits, Häkkinen for a new nose section and Coulthard to replace a punctured tyre. Lap 50, it's Villeneuve's turn once more, but with a quicker stop from the Williams crew, he gets back into the race just ahead of Hill. Schumacher back in third and Alesi fourth continue their raging battle, ahead of Irvine fifth and Berger sixth, enjoying a similar tussle. Now it's pretty much all over. Villeneuve consistently lapping about a second quicker than Hill, so that by the end of lap 70, the Canadian takes his fourth win of the season from Hill.
We knew we had to beat Damon by at least 10 points to still keep us a slim chance for the championship, and that's what we did today. We were counting on the start, but for once Damon left the grid pretty good, and we had a pretty bad one, and it was looking grim at that point.
Shock news followed on the Monday after Spa. One of the most famous and enduring partnerships in F1 will finish at the end of the season. McLaren and Marlboro are to split after 23 years, 9 drivers' championships and 96 race wins together. McLaren have a new title sponsor in the shape of German tobacco brand West from 1997. Between Spa and Monza, Heinz-Harald Frentzen is confirmed as Villeneuve's teammate for 97. Hill, the championship favourite, is left out in the cold. Shades of Mansell and Prost, it seems. Speculation then links the champion-elect to Jordan, Benetton, McLaren and even newcomer Stewart GP. But Hill confounds the F1 world by signing for TWR Arrows for 97. In the run-up to the Japanese Grand Prix, Walkinshaw announces deals with Yamaha for their V10s, Bridgestone tyres, and Brazilian Pedro Diniz is confirmed as Hill's teammate in the new Dark Horse team for 97. Damon Hill is awarded the Moët & Chandon Silver Trophy on the eve of the most important weekend in the 1996 Grand Prix calendar. This is the 18th occasion that the championship has gone down to the wire, to the last race since its inception in 1950. Eddie Irvine cannot believe Villeneuve's speed. The French-Canadian, taking his third pole position of the year, is the focus of everyone's attention. With the gauntlet now down, Hill languishing back in a provisional fourth place, must pull something out of the bag. The pressure is on.
It was always going to be close, but I was confident that I had a car that could do it, and I just wanted to make sure that I didn't end up, giving myself problems up until the last minute. I'm quite happy to do that, to save it up till the end. They're talking again. Pay attention, boys. You might learn something.
Senna and Mansell employed a similar muttering tactic on Prost after the 1990 Portuguese Grand Prix. Despite notably good qualifying performances from Irvine and Häkkinen, there really is only one focus of attention at Suzuka. Villeneuve with everything to gain, Hill with everything to lose, and a whole catalogue of nightmare scenarios on which to reflect.
As if there isn't enough tension already, the first start is aborted when Coulthard stalls his McLaren on the grid. Start 2. Hill makes a dream getaway. Villeneuve is the one to fluff it this time and is swamped by Berger, Hakkinen, Schumacher and Irvine. Turn 1. Exit Alesi, stage right. Lap 4, Berger heads for the pits on a new nose after this. By lap 10, Hill's advantage is 4.2 seconds, with Hakkinen, Schumacher, Irvine and Villeneuve in tight formation behind. At the end of lap 12, Villeneuve dispenses with Irvine, closes on Schumacher, then makes his first stop, and immediately sails past Berger on his return. Lap 32, Schumacher, Hakkinen and Villeneuve are in the pits for their second stops. Schumacher retains second, Hakkinen retains third, Villeneuve drops to fifth behind Berger, who's back up the order once more, but out of step in the pit stops. Lap 34, Hill's looking good for the championship at the front as he makes his second stop. He retains the lead with a margin of just over a second on Schumacher. Hakkinen still third, Berger fourth, Villeneuve fifth and Brundle sixth. A couple of laps later, Villeneuve's rear wheel overtakes him and the Williams is pitched off the track. The battle for the title is over. Whatever happens now, Damon Hill is world champion. Reactions are mixed in the Williams pit.
I'm shaking.
At the front, Hill can now concentrate on the race and enjoy it. Lap 40, Berger, after his second fuel stop, closes on Irvine and runs into the Ferrari at the chicane. Irvine's out, Berger continues, but underneath lies a bigger battle. Benetton or Ferrari for runner-up in the Constructors' Championship. The odds favour Ferrari with Berger's delay. Schumacher's still holding on to second ahead of a charging Hakkinen, who would surely pull away if only he could pass. So Damon Hill finally seals the win in Japan and takes the championship in style. Schumacher holds off Hakkinen for second place, thus taking second in the Constructors' Championship for Ferrari, at the expense of Benetton, where Berger only managed an eventful fourth, Brundle is fifth, and Frentzen completes the top six. Michael Schumacher's reign as champion is over. After 699 days at the top, Hill's is just beginning, and the celebrations too.
When you've won the championship and a Grand Prix all in one race, it's a hell of a thing, I tell you. I think this is going to take a while to the full impact to really hit me. But right now I feel like I'm on a rocket that's just about to take off.
Damon Hill becomes the first son of a Formula One world champion to win the title himself. He's the 8th Briton too, and joins Mike Hawthorne, Jim Clark, John Surtees, Jackie Stewart, James Hunt, Nigel Mansell, and of course his late father, Graham.